Okay, what's going on, folks? He who grease with fire here, and I know I've been away a minute, but recent events have brought me out of retirement, man. Basically, you had the Zone putting out their list of greatest fighters of the last 30 years, and there's been a lot of revisionist history being done on the part of the racist old media in boxing, as well as racist fans, on the internet, so-called YouTubers, and they're the pet coons that come out of hiding to capitalize on these people's hatred for monetary gain. Basically, there's been a lot of talk and discussion about who exactly is the greatest fighter of this era. And for me, I think the question is it's incredibly stupid, it's incredibly silly, and people are trying to move the goalposts simply because of the hatred that they have for one particular fighter. That one particular fighter is Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's the fighter that they hate. They've always hated him. They still hate him. Floyd beat a lot of the top guys, a lot of these guys' favorite fighters, and he beat them easy. Pacquiao, Canelo come to mind, but people forget that he also beat the number 3 rated pound-for-pound fighter in the world at the time of Juan Manuel Marquez off a 2-year layoff. Just keep it short and sweet, man. Manny Pacquiao built his career off of having his name attached to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Manny Pacquiao gets the benefit of the doubt for some reason from many people in the media with short memories, or who would like people like myself who were watching boxing for a long time to forget certain things. Manny Pacquiao was a protected fighter for a very long time, man. He was kept away from several black fighters, several style of fighters that could have gave him trouble, particularly in his early run before welterweight. There were guys, Nate Campbell was the king of the lightweight division at the time, not David Diaz. Manny Pacquiao never fought him to be lineal lightweight champion. He missed Zaire Rahim. You can go and watch the Zaire Rahim fight against Eric Morales, and you can hear HBO commentators, Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant at the time, talking about advocating for Pacquiao's handlers to keep him away from Zaire Rahim. Now, that's a fight that Pacquiao probably would have won, but back then, Zaire Rahim, he looked pretty good. He was a southpaw, a boxer from Philly, slick. Nate Campbell was one of those veteran guys who could box, but he had all the dirty tricks that you could imagine in a book, and he had a hard right hand. Those are all fights that Pacquiao missed. You had Joan Guzman. There was a couple of other guys. But for whatever reason, when you read these articles, or when you listen to these people give their opinions as to who was better, for some reason they always like to try and make it seem like Floyd ducked all of these guys. That Floyd missed all these fighters, but no, Floyd beat all of these guys. He beat all of these fighters of his era, every single last one. And we have 100 years of boxing history, and when you have guys in and around the same era, in and around the same weight class, fighting the same people, fighting similar people, it always came down to when they had their head-to-head matchup. Only when it comes to Pacquiao, for some reason, do people want to try to ignore the fact that Floyd beat that man and beat him easy. So I'm not even going to go any further than that, man. Floyd Mayweather is without a doubt the best fighter of his generation. He's one of the best fighters of all time. a top 10 guy in my book. And to suggest that Manny Pacquiao is better than him all time, to me, is an indication that you are biased, you don't know boxing, and you're an idiot. I'm out.
Usually, you not be dominant with just one hand, but with both.
Yeah. But do you think then that in the fullness of time, when people look back in history, they will see that Pacquiao is the man that Mayweather didn't fight, rather than Pacquiao didn't get the Mayweather?
I don't think it'll come across that way. I think people will say, why didn't they fight each other? And blame both guys, to be honest with you, because the first negotiation we were against the blood test, and it was kind of our fault that the first time it didn't work, and then we came
agreed to go to 14 days. Ever since they started negotiating this fight, one of the points that Mayweather wanted from day one, and his people have been calling me and spinning it, as have the Pacquiao people. They wanted, on the Mayweather side, he wanted rigorous drug testing from day one, not just recently. So that's been on the table for them for a long time.
Okay, but now
it's pretty simple. I mean, you could go in 1,000 different directions, and you guys went about 500 of them. And good for you. But to me, you just go to this man in the street. You go to the regular person, the blue-collar worker that takes care of his family, that is willing to put out the money for a pay-per-view fight and see a good fight, and allow these people to make the money. Those are the people that count. And if you ask those people, well, they're going to say one thing, and they have said one thing as far as what I've heard, and that is, why would you walk away from $30 million on the table just not to take some blood, just not to take a test? If you're clean, what do you have to hide? Now, in no way am I saying that I think Pacquiao is dirty. And no way am I saying that all the blame goes away from Mayweather in not making this fight. All I'm saying is that is what the regular man, the common man out there, and he has a right to think that and to say that. Why would you not make that fight if you're clean? Now,
Teddy,
some of my sources...
Teddy, let me just say one thing. I bet you if you were training Pacquiao, though, you would only allow yourself to be dictated to so much. What about that?
Listen, take it about, neither one of us are doctors, but I can tell you that doctors have stated that taking blood for a test does not weaken you. It does not. Now, psychologically, some people don't like it, but hey, Pacquiao had some tattoos on him, I think I saw, so you can't say he's afraid of needles. I don't think we can go and say that. So, if it's really taking the blood, from what I understand, Mayweather's people were willing to make a concession where it would be 2 weeks away, where he would have enough time, if that was really the fear, that it seems like that could have been overcome. Look, my thing that I can add to this, again, from sources that told me, they said that people in the Pacquiao camp sent a couple of emails to the Mayweather camp a few weeks ago, about 2-3 weeks ago. And the first email was, what would the penalty be if our guy tested positive? The second email was, if he did test positive, could we keep this a secret for the benefit of boxing? Now, again, I don't know, other than my source, who I trust, told me that he saw those emails. Now, I also know that Tim Smith, the columnist from the Daily News, reported on the same thing I just said. Now, if that's true, again, that doesn't prove anything definitively, but you just wonder why those questions were being asked.
All right, but they also could be setting up just the parameters of the whole thing, although that sounds very fishy, of course, Teddy. But that's...
So what I was doing, I was touching his glove. I'm going to go to the pocket. I'm not showing you the pocket right now. I was touching his glove like this. So which touch, then shoot. So what I was doing, I was touching his glove. I'm going to go to the pocket. I'm not showing you the pocket right now. I was touching his glove like this. So which touch, then shoot.
Say this was, people always say this is a Floyd era, some people say it's a Manny era. Where do you think this era falls, and who did it belong to, in your opinion?
Well, Manny had 8 titles and a lot of great opponents and so forth, and Mayweather the same, had a great career, had undefeated. So I guess we're going to have to give it to Mayweather, but I think Manny was a lot more exciting for the fans. But the thing is, Mayweather having no losses and so forth, he's probably the king of this era right now.